So continuing about the body language, there's one more thing that it is quite interesting to me, and it's a confirmation that I try to confirm that I'm hearing what another person is saying, and is this in short it is this nodding. Yes, 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 yes. And we do the kyllä. Sorry about the face. So according to some studies, it's quite common that we do it all the time, that we sort of unknowingly we confirm other person's story when they are speaking to us. So we do the small gestures. So we are showing that we are listening, we show that we understand, we show that we are paying attention. And according to some researchers, so there's a difference between the women and men. That interestingly, the men tend to listen without doing the yes face. They listen to the story to be told to the end, and then they nod or do something else, like it can be like yes, yes, of course, or something like that. And the female listeners, female audiences, they apparently do it more often. That while a person is speaking, so the females are like yeah, in the middle of the sentences. And so some people claim that this is the reason why sometimes you feel that you have an audience or you have another person that doesn't listen to you at all, that they don't understand, they don't listen to you at all. But in reality, they are just waiting for you to stop, and then they will do the yes, yes. I don't know if it's true, but it's an interesting thing to pay attention to, interesting thing to be aware, especially if you are working with people and you want to show them that you are listening, you want to show them, you want to make them understand that you are listening, you want to make them feel comfortable. So it's rather interesting to see that if you are doing it all the time, if you're doing it even perhaps even too much, or if you're doing it at all, if you're doing it at the end of the sentence, if you are waiting for the person to finish talking and then you are nodding, or are you doing it all the time like I am doing? If I'm listening to someone, so I quite often do that. Yes, yes, yes. I don't notice that I'm doing it. I have to be concentrating to notice that I'm doing it. But for me, it's impossible to stop doing it. So when I'm listening to some person, so I automatically do it. I can't stop. I can't, if I concentrate not to do it, so I can't hear a single thing the other person is saying. So this leaves us small talk. Perhaps it's not don't have that much to do with body language, but all the things that how you present yourself. There's material on the Moodle, you will be looking through the material, but all the things together, your posture, your face, your expressions, your nodding, your eyes, your face, your hands, all of those things come together that when you say something, so perhaps the things that you are saying, perhaps they are not so important, but all of the other things that you are doing, they affect at least as much. Small talk, I really don't do small talk, at least in Finnish, and I have had to learn how to do the small talk. So I quite often do the how do you do? How are you? How are you? How are you? I'm fine, thank you. How do you do? So in English, we learn in school to say how do you do, and the proper answer is how do you do? And how are you? Is to my experience, it's most common. How do you do? How are you? And of course, you answer, I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Uh, Again, I don't know if this is only me or if it's a cultural thing, but the how are you, it's used to be a very dangerous question for me, because I really thought that I need to answer. I really need to answer, and of course, we also have the idea that it's only news if it's bad thing. So as oh no, what is wrong? What is wrong? Can I have something must be wrong? Oh, the weather is bad. So for me, it was difficult to remember to start using how are you, and then that the answer is I'm fine, thank you, how are you. I still, in my everyday life, I still use only the hey, 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 and I consider myself to be really polite, and I think that most of the people that are responding or seeing me, they also think that I'm quite polite. I'm quite polite. It's okay. It's quite okay. It's enough. And I think it's enough. But when you speak to a person from another culture, so the how are you is usually sort of expected. There's a link for a very funny video, which is it's comedy, but I think it has quite a lot of truth to it. It's a comedy show by Craig Polar, and it's Welcome to Sweden. There's a difference between a Swede and American person. What do they do when they meet their neighbor in the same building? The link is in the Moodle site, and I think that you might want to check that out and perhaps think that how do you greet people, and do you have a natural talent for small talk? What kind of small talk questions do you think are good? Is it the weather? Is it only the how are you, how's life? What kind of things do you think that are needed? Do you need small talk in your everyday work life?